So I looked it up. I'm going to refer back to page 88 in your book. Yes, I actually have a book. On page 88 is where we learned the empirical rule. And it's talking about where, our data, the majority of our data is going to be within 3 standard deviations away from the mean. Okay, and then over on page 107, I'm going to have to move my camera to get this. There it is. On the bottom of page 107, it shows that anything that is beyond 2 standard deviations. Let me see if I can move this. Good grief. There we go. Okay, so anything that is beyond 2 standard deviations away is considered unusual. Anything beyond 3 standard deviations away is very unusual. So that's what they're wanting us to do, because we just calculated the mean and the standard deviation. Did we not? We did. So since we calculated the mean and the standard deviation, they're just wanting us to see, okay, well, let's do some calculations real quick. The mean is 16.8. So 1 standard deviation away is going to be 2.19. So 16.8 plus, 16.8 plus 2.719 will get us out to 19.5. And then add the standard deviation again, 2.719. That'll get us out to 22.2. And then if you want to write that third one down, add it one more time, 2.719. That'll get us out to 25. Now go back the other way. Okay, take 16.8, which is the mean. This was the mean right here. And then we added 2.7, so now take away 2.719. Take away the standard deviation, and you'll be at 14.1. And then take it away again, 2.719, and you'll be at 11.4. And then take it away one more time, and you'll be at 8.6. Okay, so from here to here, this is, what did they say? Oh, I put my book up. This is usual. Anything beyond here is unusual. So so the average is 16.8. This is the number of days of cloudy. So 16.8 days is cloudy. Anything fewer than 8.6 to 11, since we're talking about days, we'll say 8 days to 11 days is unusual. Anything beyond 22 days to 25 days, that's unusual. Anything greater than 25 days is very unusual, and anything less than 8 days is very unusual. So that's what they want you to describe. So this is usual. 11 to 22 days is usual. 8 to 11 days is unusual. 22 to 25 days is unusual. And then bigger than 25 and smaller than 8 is very unusual. So that's what that means. Now, in this last problem right here in San Francisco, about 45% of the days or 44% of the days are clear. So for the month of May, so 30 days hath September, April, June, and November. That means May has 31. And the P is 0.44, and that is for clear days. And Q is 0.56. That's not clear, in case you're wondering. And then they want us to find the mean. So oh goodness, look at me using the M. Mu is 31 times 0.44. The variance is 31 times 0.44 times 0.56. And then the standard deviation is the square root of whatever that number is. So 31 times 0.44 is 13.64 times 0.56, that's 7.64. And then take the square root of that, and you get 2.76. And they wanted you to explain what that means. So that means that on average in May, you're going to have 13 days of clear weather. In May, 13 days of clear weather. And then you would do the same. So 13. And I'm going to, when I do my adding and subtracting, I'm going to use the decimals. But when I write them down, I'm going to round it. So just know that 1 standard deviation, 2 standard deviation, 3 standard deviation, 1 standard deviation, 2 standard deviation, 3 standard deviation. So I'm just going to write down the days because we're talking about days. So I don't want to write down decimals when I'm talking about days, but I'm using them as I am computing it. So I'm going to say 13.64 plus 2.76, that's going to give me 16. And I'm going to add 2.76 again, and that's going to give me 19. And I'm going to add 2.76 again, and that's going to give me 22. So I'm rounding these days. And then I'm going to say 13 minus 2.76 and get 10. And then minus 2.76 and get 7. Ooh, it's almost 7.5. And then minus 2.76, and that's going to give me about 5 days. So these are usual. These right here, 19 to 22, this is unusual. Here and here. And then anything less than 5 or more than 22, that is very unusual. Out here. So I could ask you, a question. San Francisco only had 2 days of clear weather in the month of May. Which of the following best describes that outcome? You would say very unusual. Or I could say in San Francisco, California, during the month of May, there were 20 days of clear weather. Which of the following best describes that outcome? 20 days. Usual, unusual, very unusual. It would be unusual. So those are that's what they're talking about right there when they want to know if you can describe it. All right, we're done with chapter 3 and chapter 4. So it is time for you to start practicing for your test. Yes, that's right. It's time for test 2.